What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Brimezus. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For all you young brothers out there, the lit brothers, the inspiring gentlemen that are trying to be that guy, it might be one of the realest videos you're ever going to watch. This might be a video that maybe your dad himself can't teach you, you know? Maybe your favorite influencer, rapper, athlete won't directly say to you, but I'm here to kind of teach you guys the downsides of being a playboy, a successful player, the downsides of getting a lot of women, the downsides of all that stuff, man, that you might not expect. Maybe you might look at some of the thumbnails or benchmarks in this video and say, oh, that was obvious, or this was that. And honestly, I don't really think that is. I really don't think that is, for a bunch of reasons. For example, bad things and unfortunate things can happen to anybody. It can happen to the rich person or the poor person. It can happen to the handsome person or the not attractive person. It can happen to the religious person and the non-religious person. It can happen to the obscure person, the famous person. It can happen to regardless of your race, essentially. Okay? You know, you in your normal life, in your community, you might come from a community where there's a lot of marriages and long-lasting marriages, and some of them are better than others. You might come from a community, let's say the inner city black community, and there's hardly stable marriages and fathers to be around. And you might look on TV, you might see some celebrity relationships or men of power or status possibly may have long-lasting marriages, and some people that throughout their political or media career are in several different relationships. Things can happen to anybody. As a matter of fact, even prophets in the Quran or the Bible, some of them had bad wives. They had misfortune that came to women. And I just wanted to give you guys at least some kind of insight on what it might cost you when it comes to being a playboy or having a lot of females or being polygynous or things like that. You guys follow my channel, you know I'm very pro-marriage. I also support polygyny. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there who are just men just naturally growing up would like to be with a very beautiful woman. And some of you guys are going to be naturally monogamous, and some of you guys will not be. But regardless if you be naturally monogamous or not, you're still going to have that attraction for multiple women. And through your climb of education, getting power, getting status, or chasing your profession, if you are successful at it, beyond that of most men, you will find yourself in a position more often than not where you'll have far greater access to women. And even more so than that, you'll also find yourself in a position where women will start pursuing you. Not just one woman, many women will start pursuing you, and at the same time. And how do you deal with that? I might just save that for another video. This is to focus more on the downside of that, because they'll tell you that downside, because again, the social media era changed a lot of things. For example, in my dad's era, as far as I can tell, as far as I know, they didn't have anything called sexting. They didn't have cell phones. The women of my dad's generation could not, maybe I should roll the window up on this, you guys can hear it better. The women of my dad's generation could not send them, like, you know, naked photos and things like that. Unfortunately, a lot of you men out here will have access to that. It's crazy out here. Unfortunately, even young teenage kids have access to certain things, even if there are parental controls on your phone. We're not just talking about adult content here, okay? I'm talking about the consequence of dealing with a lot of women trying to get your attention, vying for your attention, and one of the biggest trump cards and assets that a woman can do in any capacity is get naked. There's a strong dichotomy of women in your life, women that do get naked and women that don't, okay? Now, the women that are going to get naked, you because they want to be in your life in some kind of capacity, it's going to change depending on how ambitious or successful you are. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where adult content has corrupted a bunch of people, you know? And there's another version of that just by simply becoming somebody, I guess, noteworthy and women vying for your attention. A numbers game, like through networking, through getting in and out of relationships, from juggling multiple relationships at the same time. Like women just nowadays, for quite a long time, since the 2010s, as far as I know, was when we had cell phones, you know, and smartphones were ubiquity. Women will oftentimes send naked pictures to the guy they're with. Now, unfortunately, since I've been in my young 20s and now I'm 34, I've been with a large amount of women. I would say a lot more than the average guy, very much similar to that of a famous person of the sort. It happens. And one thing like they don't talk about is, even though I have deleted a bunch of pictures, even though I deleted a bunch of videos which we wanted to volunteer to make, at a certain point, like, you don't want to delete certain stuff because, like, you might find yourself in dry spots or droughts, and even though it might not be that long, you just like, it's like I don't want to go for an extended period of time after, you know, either being very sexual active or seeing women naked all the time. I'm not happy to see women naked all the time. Like that's like a crappy reality, and unfortunately, you can base your daily happiness off of some factor of seeing a naked woman all the time. Like, for example, you like, let's say, like, your wife, you see your wife naked all the time, every day, and then you might find yourself in a situation where you're divorced, and now you're not seeing a beautiful naked woman every day. It can have an effect on you. It can have a strong effect on you. It had a strong effect on me. And then you might even have a variety of girls that are getting naked for you. And you might find some position where you, even for trying to change for the greater good, where these women aren't getting naked for you, but you might have pictures of them and they send you and stuff like that. You have to force them, you have to pick nothing. They just jump. If you're a guy, you become like a athlete of note in some capacity. You meet a girl in the first hour and some change, they'll start sending you photos and stuff like that because they really like you. That's just how women show affection nowadays. So gentlemen that have daughters, you really gotta have that talk. Like, if I have a daughter, one of the things I'm gonna say, I'm not sure what kind of technology she's gonna have when she grows up. But I wanna say, yo, do not let anybody besides your husband see you naked. Okay? If any man asks to see you naked in any capacity, even if it's digitally, if he's not your husband, you know, he doesn't have to see you naked. As a matter of fact, even if you're married, I wouldn't want to get naked photos from your wife or spouse. Honestly, we should like move away from that kind of notion. It's a dangerous game because, you know, you might have naked photos. She's gonna remain forever young in that photo or that video, whatever the case may be. But then she's gonna grow older. You're gonna move on. She's gonna things like that, and they'll oftentimes talk about that, and it can grow from, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, up into the 20s, and it's like, yo, okay, I unfortunately got to see more women naked in my life than I meant to. Like, I was, as far as I knew, the younger version was very comfortable with this, having this one. That was fine. Let me die with that. Let me just live and grow with that. That's not how it went down. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna add more to the list, a few more to the list, and a few more to the list. It became a lot more to the list. But now I'm 34. I don't want to be out there in the streets no more. I'm not trying to be a playboy. I want to settle down, have a family, those kind of things. I'm not in that kind of position. I'm not in that kind of position. Even though I still would like to, you know, have a wife and kids and things like that. So then it's like, I've already experienced like very much the highlights of dating very beautiful girls, models of all kinds and things like that. And it's not that I don't want to look and judge a girl just based off of character, but at the same time, if you're used to seeing certain levels of beauty all the time, you don't want to just be with a mid woman, not for the appeasement of other people, or just for me. Like, I gotta sleep with you and things like that, and be around you all the time. And you like being around women that are gonna excite you and get you hyped up, and motivate you based off their natural beauty, looks, and appearance. So the struggle of it's almost like getting money. Like, you used to get a lot of money, and if you don't have a lot of money, it'll have an effect on you mentally. We talk about this in like the struggle of being broke after success is very similar to that. So, here we got. That's gonna